So, last week, I had jury duty. So, as I said, last week I had jury duty. I had known for about a month in advance that I did have to attend. And when I saw it, I was like, okay. I'm super into Law & Order. I grew up watching a lot of Law & Order. So, like, getting jury duty, it's one part awesome and two parts fuck, what am I gonna do? My job is very time-based. I have two separate jobs. I do my channel, I do the hub. What the fuck am I gonna do? I was excited, but at the same time, I was hoping I would have the minimum amount that I would have to do, or hopefully I wouldn't get selected for a jury and all that stuff. So I went in on Tuesday morning. The jury commissioner, told us to go all wait in this big room. There was like 100 and something people. I can't remember the specific number, but there was a bunch of people there. And by the way, there were VHS tapes over on a podium, just sitting over there in the corner, and I was like, VHS tapes, really? Is that a thing that is still existing in a courthouse? I mean, the video that they played was playing on a DVD player, at least, so why are there VHS tapes in the corner? Anyway, a video went on to explain, you know, what the jurors' job is, what they do, blah, blah, blah. And again, I've watched a lot of Law & Order growing up, so, you know, I could pretty much be a lawyer, you know, in this case. I'd probably be sitting in the jury, and, you know, one guy would be like, objection, leading the witness, Your Honor, sidebar. And then I'd go over and be like, they'd be like, we're gonna hold you in contempt of court because you're being disruptive and we don't understand what the hell you're doing. Yeah, that would have been fun. So the video goes on to explain, you know, the different types of cases that a juror may be attending and sitting in on. And, you know, a civil case or a criminal case. Civil cases are between two separate people. A criminal case is the state and the defendant sort of deal. You know, somebody who, like, committed a felony or something like that. They said that cases usually went from 1 to 3 days. So I was like, oh, fuck, 1 to 3 days. But, you know, I didn't know what kind of cases were going on that day until the jury commissioner came out and said that there were 3 different cases that were happening that day, and all 3 were criminal felony cases that would take at least 3 to 4 days to prosecute. At this point, I'm texting like, you know, everybody in the office like, okay, well, I'm probably gonna be tied up for the entire week if I get selected for the jury. And she had said that her court clerks would come out and call people by name, and then that we would have to go with them, and then the jury selection process, the jury selection process would begin. Right after she was done, one of the court clerks was ready to start calling names, started going through the names, and like listening very attentively to my name, and then I realized he was doing it in alphabetical order. So like, okay, I know when I'll come up. So he gets to the G's and he's going through like, you know, Gavin, Gerald DeBoat, and you know, Grimsbald, and, you know, Gazathorn, and then I realized he you know, gets on to the H's, and I was like, oh, okay, so I'm not up for this one. Cool beans. It takes about a half hour or 40 minutes for the next court clerk to come in, and this entire time there's nothing going on. I'm just sitting there on my phone, you know, either checking Twitter or talking to these guys in the office, and second guy comes in. I'm like, okay, this is it. I mean, the odds are I'll probably get called on this one. Starts doing the names. One of the first names, Neil Armstrong. There's some asshole. Well, actually, no. Okay. I was about to say there's somebody's parents who was like, our last name's Armstrong, I'm gonna call him Neil. Now, once you actually see the guy who was Neil Armstrong, you could see why it wasn't such a dick move, because guy was at least 60 or 70 years old. He was definitely an older gentleman, so he would have been named prior to, you know, the whole Neil Armstrong being a big thing. So, you know, his parents, I'm sure he was like, I know I'm Neil Armstrong. Yeah, whatever, Neil Armstrong, and I'm Buzz Aldrin. I'm sure he got that a lot growing up. Yeah, so I shit you not, guy named Neil Armstrong got called. And guy rolled around the G's, once again, didn't call me. And I was like, just call me so we can get this over with. I just want it over with. Turned out, you know, not everybody had come up when he called their name, so he looked at the list of people who hadn't come up when he called their names, and the only one was Neil Armstrong. But then he apparently had come back, so then he went up there. But what are the odds? The person with the most random name is the one who half an hour or so goes by. We're all just sitting there like, okay, there's only one more case for today, so you know, we're gonna be on that one. And then we start going through the jury selection process. Either the prosecutor or the defense is gonna go through. They're gonna ask us questions about a little bit about the case. We're going to be explaining the case a little bit and ask questions about how we feel about certain things. And there were kind of two ways it could go. I'm not going to lie and be like, hey, they all should hang, and just so I can get out of jury duty. I think I would be a pretty good juror. I'm an honest kid. I think I'm fair when it comes to judgment. I'm not like, you know, that person is this way, so they're instantly guilty and all that stuff. I think I'm a fair person. So I'm like, I'm probably going to get selected to be in the jury. I just, for some reason, felt like it was going to be that way if we got to the selection process. And I was thinking maybe the only thing that might put them off a little bit is that my profession is online media, so you know, afterwards I can go on and spout off whatever happened and stuff like that. Now when the case is happening, you can't do that, but I hadn't quite gotten to the part where afterwards I might have been able to talk about it. Who knows? I don't know, because I didn't actually end up going through that process because the jury commissioner came in and she said that the last case of the day had settled. So we were all off the hook and we can go. And everybody's like, hey, everybody's shaking hands and patting each other on the back as if we did something, but we didn't. We sat in a room for 2 hours waiting to get selected, and we all left. I mean, which is great because I had a lot of work to do, and it would have really sucked if I would have had to take the week off, essentially. Luckily, it all happened the way it happened. There was some guy who was like, I had meetings planned all this week, so this worked out. Like, you had a month in advance to really let people know about that. That's, you know, that's my juror story. I didn't end up being a juror, but that, you know, this only means that I won't get selected at least for the rest of the year, although it took about 6 years for them to even select me in the first place. So who knows if it'll happen again or if I'll ever get on a jury at some point. It'll be interesting either way. Hopefully it happens on an off week though, next time. That was my jury experience, kinda not. Just sitting in a room, staring at VHS tapes and judging Neil Armstrong very harshly. It wasn't the real Neil. I wish it had been.